We'd like to thank Stefano's Art Farm, recording studio and band rehearsal rooms for sponsoring this podcast and for being such strong supporters of musicians and live music in Victoria. For your information, they're having their annual anniversary birthday party. This year it's their 6th party and it's on July 12th. Bands will be playing all day and there'll be lots of fun activities for the whole family. Check out on their website, artfarm.ca, for further information. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Wayne's Music podcast. And my guest today is Duncan Meiklejohn, a multi-talented producer, vocalist, instrumentalist with a voice you've likely heard. From singing on over 1,500 jingles to performing with icons like Celine Dion, David Foster, and many others, his music spans continents and even generations. He's here today to join us in the House of Al in downtown Victoria. But before we start, as usual, I like to ask our viewers to hit that like button and the subscribe button. That lets people know that people are watching the show, and when I go to ask for someone to be a guest on a future episode, it helps me to get interesting guests. So I'd appreciate it if you would do that. So welcome, Duncan. Great to be able to chat with you today.
Thanks for having me, Wayne. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Now, you've played in multiple bands through the years and still do. I'll get to some of the bands that you play in a minute, but first, let's look at one of your career highlights. You're referred to, when I did my research online, as the Jingle King, because you've sung over 1,500 jingles for commercials, and as a matter of fact, you might hold the record for singing more advertising jingles across North America than anyone else.
It's definitely possible, and that's an old number. That's Jeff Bate from Imagine Words and Music quoted that on his website, and that information
goes
is
way
probably
back.
15, 20 years old.
Well, there you go, yeah.
Yeah.
So well over 2,000 probably now or more.
Many, many jingles over the years, for sure. I'm the guy you know to hear, but you have no idea
that it's you,
that this face looks like this.
Yeah. So do you work mainly with Dale Baglow at his studio? Or?
These days, that would be the case.
Right.
I worked at Seacoast Sound, Mel Cooper's former company, for over a decade.
Right. Forgot about that, actually,
Yeah, in our heyday, we were doing jingles North America, Canada, US, Great Britain, New Zealand.
Wow.
And Japan.
I remember we had coffee recently just to chat about the podcast and how it all works.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about you and your wife went to Hawaii and you rented a car and started driving around the island and you had the radio on and it was like you were constantly going, oh, yes, and that's me on that jingle and just on and on and on. And that was in Hawaii.
Yeah, it was a wonderful trip. And we had rented an economy car and they couldn't find the car. So they gave us a Camaro convertible. And
oh, nice.
So we're driving around Lahaina and it's like, Ka'ahumana Shopping Center, that's me. Aston Wailea, that's me. Sushi Go, that's me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so you're heard all around the globe, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So which jingle do you think has been the most iconic and impactful in your career? Is there anyone in particular? Or?
Oh, my gosh.
So many?
Depends on where you live.
Yeah, I
if
suppose,
you're in BC, Alberta, it doesn't play anymore, but for years it was United Buy and Sell Furniture Warehouse.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
That was, I did that one.
Probably heard that one if you live in BC for certain. Yeah.
If you live in Nanaimo, you probably used to hear, if you're looking for a car, go see Tom Harris.
Oh, okay.
And locally, you've got experience on your side. Mac Renovations. There are all kinds of them. I'm sure more will occur to me. But
right. Well, if they do, just sing it at any time.
Yeah, I'll burst into song at any moment. Right.
Can you share any funny stories from recording jingles or working on any ad campaigns that
Funny stories.
No, nothing.
Oh,
Just
well, I've used to do a fair number of jingles for a company called Coco Productions.
oh, okay,
Mike Korn and Wayne Kosak at Pinewood Studios in Vancouver,
right.
and we used to do jingles for 7-Eleven and Sears and Air Canada and so on. But I did quite a few jingles for uh, Labatt's. And one of the ones I was impersonating Brian Adams.
Oh,
He
okay,
just had a big hit, Summer of '69 or something, and
huge
they
hit.
wanted me
Yeah.
to produce that kind of sound.
Okay.
So I'm rocking out on this Black Ice jingle for TV jingle for Labatt's.
Yeah.
And I come into the studio, and there's about 12 people from the Labatt's board sitting in the control room. And the
Oh,
one
wow.
guy says, "You sure don't look like you sound." So I thought that was pretty funny
That's kind
because
of
here's
funny.
this guy
Yeah.
who looks like a socials teacher,
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
singing like Brian Adams.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Right.
I don't know how amusing that is, but
No, that's
felt
kind
pretty
of
funny at the time.
It's somewhat amusing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you've also recorded and performed with people like Steve Tyler and Sheena Easton, Celine Dion, David Foster, even Loverboy, Michael Bolton, just to name a few. Can you share any memorable experiences or lessons you learned from performing alongside such legends in the music business?
Oh my gosh. Well, back in the day when Seacoast Sound was in its heyday, David Foster used to come up annually for the celebrity softball
Yeah,
competition,
yeah.
and he would put a band together, and they would rehearse in our studios.
Oh, okay.
So we had all these celebrities going through the studio and rehearsing in our recording room.
Oh, wow.
So,
Yeah.
I remember teaching the words to one of David's songs to Michael Bolton,
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah,
that was fun.
that
And
would be fun. Yeah.
met Celine, and I ended up writing a song for her for model introductions for Chrysler Canada,
Oh, wow. Wow.
which aired nationally
Yeah.
in Canada. Steven Tyler was I sang it. I opened David's 30th anniversary show at Rogers in
Oh, okay.
Vancouver.
Right, right,
I sang Man in Motion,
right.
a specific arrangement of Man in Motion that funnily enough probably should have been sung by a fellow named Meiklejohn,
Right.
who did that specific arrangement. So maybe it's fitting that he passed away.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's fitting that Meiklejohn filled in for Michael
Oh,
John.
right.
But
Yeah.
Steven Tyler was the headliner on that show. He
Oh, okay.
closed
Yeah.
the show with his big ballad, the name of which escapes me, but they morphed into a whole lot of love, and the
Right.
crowd went crazy.
Yeah.
And at the end, he hurled his tambourine out into the audience,
Oh,
which I didn't think about at the time. But after the show, we all went backstage, and I walk into the green room, and here's Steven Tyler on his knees in front of
yeah.
Jimmy Pattison,
Yeah.
who's nursing a big head wound
No, you're kidding.
because his tambourine landed on Jimmy Pattison's head.
Holy smokes. Of all the people they hit, too. Wow.
But he was gracious, and Steven was
Yeah.
apologetic, and it was
Unbelievable.
at the end of the day, it was a nice moment. It was just two extremely successful, powerful people just being nice and normal with each other.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it
Right.
was-
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, when David Foster used to do those charity baseball games up here, I was working at Long and McQuaid for many years, and they would do a special after party at the Blue Peter Pub in Sydney. Did you ever go to any of those?
I went to a couple. I never got on stage
Oh,
with them in
okay.
those days. I was
Yeah.
more modest in that regard.
Oh, wow.
I was so used to being behind the scenes,
Yeah.
and I wasn't performing with any bands
Yeah.
at the time. But yeah, there were
They were amazing.
lot of crazy
I
parties.
went to 2 or 3 of them because at Long McQuaid would supply the PA for the big jam session that
Sure.
they were having.
Yeah.
So I was able to come out and set it all up and hang out for the night. But there was people like, I met Cheech from Cheech and Chong.
Yep.
Wayne Gretzky was there one time. And what's the $6 Million Man? What's his name?
Steve,
Yeah, I can't think of his
I'm
name.
bad with names.
Yeah, me too. But just packed. The whole room was packed with celebrities, and
Yep.
they were taking turns going up on stage, singing and playing piano, and it was an amazing night. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
You say Wayne Gretzky. I used to sing with Vicky Moss in a
Oh.
band called Privilege
Yeah.
back in Edmonton in the day, and Wayne and Vicky Wayne used to come down to see the band at the Point After Club
Oh,
in
wow.
Edmonton
Wow,
back
wow.
in the day.
Yeah,
So I casually got to know Wayne back in the day.
yeah. So what was it like working with Loverboy? What did you do with them? Because they're such a huge band too, especially Well, I think all around the world, but they came from mainly out of Vancouver.
Well, the way I ended up playing with Loverboy, and I didn't really play with Loverboy. Well, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
Um, Penticton High School was putting together a 100th anniversary celebration, and
Right.
I was putting together one of my old bands, Great Canadian River Race,
Right.
and one of the members in that band was Matt Fournette.
Oh,
He was
okay.
our drummer,
Right.
and
Right.
in the last version of the band, Paul Dean was our guitar player.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh,
So
in Penticton?
in Penticton,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Well, we
Oh.
weren't in Penticton; we were in Edmonton at the time, but
Oh,
the
okay.
band started in Penticton.
Oh, okay. I see.
But I ended up talking to Matt, and I said, "Well, you're coming, and I hope Paul's interested." And Paul's like, "Yeah, absolutely, I'm coming." So
Yeah.
I said to them both, "It's like, well, if you guys are coming," and Mike Ranowski,
Oh, is
went
that
to
his
high
real
school.
name?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
Ranowski.
okay.
He went
Oh,
to high school in Penticton.
yeah.
I said, "Mike will probably be there. Why don't we do some Loverboy tunes?"
Yeah.
So our bass player, Marcus Redivo from River Ace, and myself ended up capping the night off with a mini set of Loverboy tunes.
Oh, you're kidding. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
there's a story associated with that about Mike Reno, if you have time for me to
Yeah.
tell it.
Please do. Yeah.
So back in the day, our Great Canadian River Race was still an Okanagan band at the time.
And
And
are you from Penticton originally?
I was born in Edmonton, but I didn't even live there for my first year. My
Oh,
folks
okay.
moved to, they're both architects. They settled in Penticton. And
Oh, okay.
I think of Penticton as my
Right.
hometown.
As your home. Yeah.
But there was a time back in the early 70s, I guess, late 60s, early 70s. I'm bad with dates. That our singer was leaving the band, and we were auditioning singers.
Oh, okay.
And one of the singers that we auditioned was a very young Mike Ranowski,
Oh, wow.
but he had a very high falsetto-y, not a very sturdy kind of voice, and we were looking for more of a David Clayton Thomas.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
that's not what he did. So
No.
he failed the audition.
Oh, wow.
So when we did this 100th reunion gig at the Delta in Penticton, that's a few years back, when Mike joined us on stage for the last set, he said, "I don't know how many of you folks know me." And of course, the crowd went wild. "My
Yeah.
name is Mike Ranowski.
Oh, okay. He said it's his real
You
name.
may know me better as Mike Reno."
Yeah.
And he said, what you may not know is I failed the audition for Duncan's band many years ago.
He never forgot.
I said, "I never forgot." He said, "But tonight I'm in the band."
Yeah.
And then we went into The Kid Is Hot or something.
Oh, wow.
It
Yeah.
was a great night.
Wow.
Great night.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How many instruments do you play, by the way? Because I know you're in several bands. I'll mention some of the names in a minute. Seems like you're in a half a dozen or more bands, and sometimes I've seen you on keyboards, guitar, and do you play more instruments than those two?
Not really. No,
Oh,
I
okay.
play keyboards and guitar, which means I also play bass.
Yeah.
And of course keyboards, because I do lots of music sequencing and soundtrack type stuff.
Oh,
So
okay.
keyboards also means you're playing drums, you're
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
strings, you're
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
horns.
You're the orchestra, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I like to think I'm mainly a singer, and I play enough on guitar and keyboards to get myself in trouble on a regular basis.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, what year did you move to Victoria?
I would say 84 or 85.
Okay, I came to Victoria in '84 myself, so yeah.
I had been, long story. Bruce Innes
We
from
have time.
Bruce Innes from the original cast. They had a hit called One Tin Soldier
Oh yeah, sure, I remember that
with
one.
Dixie Lee Innes doing the
Okay.
lead vocal. Anyway,
Okay.
Bruce Innes and Dennis Furby
Okay, I know
had
Dennis.
started working with Mel Cooper at, well, it wasn't Seacoast Sound. It was called Bruce Innes Music.
Oh, okay.
And because I had worked with Dennis in the recording studio doing jingles and soundtracks and so on, they used to fly me out to sing jingles for Bruce Innes Music.
Oh, okay. Looking for a top-tier recording space in Victoria? Stefano's Art Farm boasts one of Victoria's most capable project studios, ready to record your next demo or a complete album. The Art Farm studio features 40 inputs for recording and many analog components. The studio is both PC and Mac based. The studio has 7 videos to capture your performance that then can be live streamed to Facebook, YouTube, and other popular platforms. Plus, with 24/7 access to secure studio rental rooms, your creative process never has to stop. The Art Farm, community thrives on collaboration, and with CCTV security and bright, welcoming spaces, you'll feel right at home. For further information, go to artfarm.ca. Stefano's Art Farm, proud supporters of live music in Victoria. So some of the bands you play in, the Midnights, an R&B band in town that's very, very well known. Chris Millington Big Band. Shaky Ground, are you in that?
I don't play with Shaky Ground anymore, but I did for many, many years.
Right.
Yeah.
And the 60s band Backbeat, I think maybe you might be best known for in that band, would you say? Or
Probably, because not only do we do dances, but we also have now a couple of tribute shows.
Right,
We've recently done a dedicated Beach Boys show called Let's Go Surfing, which is going like gangbusters. It's proven to be very popular. And we do a 60s review called The Cavalcade of Stars, in which we do 6 mini sets with 6 different bands where we put on Monkeys clothes and do a Monkeys set, and the Dave Clark 5 and Beatles and Stones and
Zombies.
Creedence.
Do you do zombies too a little bit?
Don't do a zombie set. I love the zombies.
Yeah, me too.
But
Okay. Yeah. So how does performing live compare to working in the studio? Do you find much of a difference? And do you have one that you prefer over the other?
It's pretty different. I like the visceral, spontaneous nature of playing live. I like the symbiotic thing that happens when you're performing and the crowd is with you and supportive and woohoo.
Yeah, sure,
you don't get any of that in the studio. It's just you're just a servant unto yourself, right?
Yeah. Live, it's kind of instant gratification, whatever. Not so much in a studio, though.
And the mistakes you make are transient.
Yeah.
They don't haunt you in a recording,
Forever,
right?
Yeah.
But I think it must be, I mean, like I said, my mom and dad are both architects. I have 3 brothers. They're architects. 2 of them are married to architects.
Holy
I was
smokes.
almost an architect.
Wow.
But I think of myself as a musical architect in the studio. So I'm very persnickety and fussy and deliberate.
Yeah,
so
which is not a bad thing in the studio.
No. I think it's the way to be.
Yeah.
But you say, how different are they? It's like it's much more analytical and focused and painstaking in the studio.
Yeah.
It's deliberate and methodical. Whereas live, it's, it is what it is. You try and have fun. It's all about having some fun when you're playing live.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, your career is so diverse. You sing every kind of style of music, big band, the 60s music. And do you have any particular style that you particularly like?
You know what? I find joy in just about any type of music.
Yeah.
Like I love Nat King Cole, but I also love Stevie Wonder, Michael Bublé, Celine Dion.
Right.
I love singers that some of my friends love to hate, like Celine Dion and Michael Bolton, who I think are phenomenal. I love Pavarotti.
Yeah, right.
I love listening to music where the performer in question is very good at their genre, and I like taking up the challenge to, if I'm doing a jazz song, if I can sound like Mel Torme, great. If I'm doing Superstition and I can try and pull off some Stevie Wonder riffs, and I don't pretend to be Stevie Wonder, trust me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it depends. I love all kinds of music.
Right. I saw on YouTube a clip of you singing It's a Wonderful World, and you do a great version of that. That's quite amazing.
Oh, a good time to take a drink.
Yeah. Now that band too, how many people were in that band? Was that
the full big band? I think at their peak there was between 14 and 16 people.
Yeah, because there was a horn section
and
female
great
back
players.
singers and and all great players too.
The Louis Armstrong. Bright blessed day. You have to do that thing with your throat.
Yeah.
Fortunately, not fortunately, but my lady that taught me vocals for a little while, Helene Scott, back in Penticton, would have been mortified if she heard the sound I make singing Louis Armstrong.
Oh, really?
But,
yeah. Well, that's the sound you got to get for that song, though.
Yeah,
right?
He's got that back of the throat growl thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, speaking of the band Backbeat, I know it began the research I was doing said it was started in 1988, if the online had it correct. And George Penwarn, I guess, was the original founder,
Yeah.
one of the original founders. It was a different name back then originally, though, wasn't it?
Yes, that was George's vision,
Yeah.
to play 60s music the way it was originally recorded.
Right.
Because, a lot of musicians sort of make a song their own,
Yeah.
whereas he likes performing it the way it was recorded,
Right.
which I admire. I like doing it within
As-
the context of Backbeat as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, back in the day, it was called Reunion Jack.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I remember that. Yeah.
And I've been with George, I'm terrible with timelines, but I would say half a dozen years at this
Oh, yeah.
point.
Mhm.
And the current lineup that we have with George out front and Kelt Eccleston on bass and vocals and John Baglow on drums and vocals.
Another talented musician there, too. He plays everything.
In our show, I mean, he plays some of the tunes. We're doing Sloop John B in our Beach Boys show, and he's playing drums and he's singing Brian Wilson lead and he's playing keyboards through the whole song, or he starts, God only knows, playing a real French horn while he's
wow.
drumming,
Wow.
and he hands it off to our roadman Jeff
Yeah.
just in time to sing the lead vocal while he's
Wow.
playing the drums. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, he's very talented
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah. It's amazing on guitar, too. Yeah.
He's pretty much good at everything he tackles.
Yeah. And in the Beach
That's how I
Boys-
make myself look good. I surround myself with all these talented
that's
people.
that's
right?
smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Beach Boys songs you do, does he take the really high notes,
Yes,
John?
he's
Yeah.
got a terrific falsetto,
Yeah.
so he does all the Brian Wilson
Yeah,
parts.
right.
Yep.
Amazing, yeah.
And we
That's-
have 4 good singers, so
Yes.
we can pull off the harmonies. Well, I like to think we can pull
Yeah.
off the
No,
harmonies.
you do
well.
pull it off. I've seen you a few times, and it's very, very close to the original record.
Yep.
Sounds like,
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have fun. I mean, like I
Mhm.
say, at the end of the day, we have fun, and we had a terrific show just last weekend up in Courtenay, and the
Mhm.
crowd went wild, and we were, signing autographs and shaking hands in
Is
the
that right?
lobby afterwards.
Yeah,
and
right.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really, really fun.
Yeah. So with Backbeat, because you do Dave Clark 5, the Beatles, and Beach Boys and stuff, how do you pick what songs to perform when you're not doing a all Beach Boys set or something? Because you kind of you do shows too where it's just not necessarily one theme, don't you? Or
Yes.
you used to, anyways.
Yeah, we do, well, what we would call dance gigs, and for those we would just agree on what songs we're going to play, which usually comes to a vote. We usually talk about it and negotiate, but
Yeah,
we
yeah.
try and think in terms of crowd pleasing material,
Yeah,
right?
Mhm.
When we do our tribute shows, we're pretty methodical about looking at the numbers and see what was their biggest hit or what were their top 10 biggest
Oh,
hits.
Okay.
And that's our starting point.
Yeah.
Sometimes that for one reason or another, we choose not to do a song, or we decide that that's not really in our wheelhouse.
Right.
But we try and choose songs that
People know
were
and stuff like
statistically
that.
big hits
Yeah.
that people we think are going to love to hear.
Yeah, you don't want to do the hidden track on side 2 of some obscure album that
No,
people
even
won't
though in
even-
some cases we may love that song.
Yeah,
But
mhm.
but
Yeah.
we've I mean, over the years, and I know my musician friends would say the same thing, that you may pick a song that you think is going to go over like gangbusters, and you play it and it clears the dance floor.
Is that
You
right?
said Zombies earlier.
Yeah,
Like we used to play She's Not There.
Yeah,
I
great song.
love,
Yeah.
but it would clear the dance floor
Serious?
without
Oh.
fail. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
So we
surprised.
stopped playing. It was in shaky ground. We stopped playing it because
Oh,
as much as we liked it, it's like,
Yeah.
obviously it's not going over with the crowd.
yeah, right. And you're there to please the crowd, really.
At the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
sending them home with some good memories and
Yeah.
a fun time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the Backbeat then has been thrilling audiences for over 35 years now. What's the secret, do you think, for keeping the energy live and exciting for the audience?
Well, I like I said, that George has had it for that many years. I haven't
Yeah,
been in the
that's
band
true.
for that many
Yeah,
years.
yeah, true.
But I think the secret to that band's success is that everyone is capable enough to
Mhm.
do the music, and at the end of the day, we laugh a lot and we have fun.
Yeah.
So we get along as people, not just as fellow musicians.
Yeah.
And we've been told time and time again that comes off
Yeah.
on stage.
Yeah, right.
People
Yeah.
look at us and say, "Those guys look like they're really having fun up there."
Yeah,
Well,
right.
it's because we are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
That's always the best for the audience.
Yeah, I think so.
I think the band The Kinks used to have fights on stage and stuff like that, and I'm not sure how well that would go over today.
Well, we've all been in bands where, you've got a
Some
prima donna
friction.
or a
Yeah. Mhm.
goofball or
Sure.
someone that
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you're a great player, but
Yeah.
you're an ass. This is not
Yeah, right.
fun, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
music should be fun for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. So, you have such a rich history of performing from smoky cabarets to opening for Trooper, 5440. What's your most unforgettable gig out through the years of any of the bands you were in? Anything stand out that you remember that you kind of think back to from time to time? And
Probably the most notable one to me is the one I mentioned earlier, where I opened up David Foster's
right.
30th anniversary show at Rogers, because I think, for the sake of argument, there might have been 15,000 people there.
Yeah, right.
And we did this version of Man in Motion that starts just David on piano and me singing slow tempo, and then it
Yeah.
gets faster and faster
Yeah.
towards the end.
I've
But to
actually
hear the
seen
crowd
that.
response when I started that tune was like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I've actually seen that clip. I think it's on YouTube.
Yeah, it is on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah,
and
if you search David Foster, Duncan
yeah.
Meiklejohn,
Yeah.
you probably get a bunch of
It's
clips.
a very
So
moving
there's a shameless plug.
performance. Yeah, right. Yeah. But a very moving performance too.
Thank you.
All right, Duncan, we don't have too many more here, but what projects and performances do you have coming up? Anything that we should talk about and let people know about?
I'm no good with dates, but all of this information is on our website, backbeatentertainment.ca.
Right.
And we have this bunch of Beach Boy tribute shows. The
Right.
Let's Go Surfing show coming up.
Oh, okay.
We're playing Suius and Kelowna and Chilliwack, and coming up Port Alberni, the Couch and Theater.
Oh, wow.
So it's all BC, but
Right,
it's
right.
yeah.
And
Just
how?
over the course of the year, we have a bunch of those shows coming up.
Yeah.
And I'll be playing with Chris Millington out at Butchert Gardens. I think they've got us out there almost once a week over the course of the summer.
Oh, okay. That's
Chris
kind of a
Millington.
regular thing that Chris does, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The gardens seems to really like what we do, and the people treat us very well out there, and the crowds are good.
Yeah.
We get the support of the Victoria Ballroom Dance Society folks
Right.
who love the variety of music that we do, and they come out, and so we fill the stage with really good dancers, and then people that can't dance at all join them, and it's
Yeah, right.
it's fun.
Yeah.
Everyone has a blast.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many good musicians in Victoria too. So, so how many bands would you say that you're currently in then? You're not in shaky ground anymore, but
No.
you're pretty regular with Chris Millington.
Yeah,
I
Chris
think.
Millington, Millington
yeah.
Band, the Midnights,
The Midnights,
which is the big
right.
R&B band, and
Yeah.
Backbeat,
Yeah,
which
right.
also involves the theater tribute shows that we
Right,
do.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Midnights. That's another big band. How many people are in that band?
Typically 13 people.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's like a full-on Motown band where
Right,
there's the
right.
three
Yeah.
girl backup singers
Yeah.
that have matching outfits and work out all this
Yeah.
intricate choreography.
Yes, yeah.
And
I've seen you guys perform downtown at open air show a couple of times now. I'm not sure which festival it was, but yeah, it's almost like a Vegas showroom or gig actually, because it's you have it very well put together.
well, listen, I can't take the credit for that. That's the brainchild of Eric MD,
Right, the
who
drummer.
had the drummer,
Yeah.
who had the Vic High R&B
Right.
program, which
Mhm.
was a certifiable high school course
Yeah.
that auditioned kids from all over the district. And he had that for probably 40 years. He's retired now.
Right.
But the Midnights grew out of that as a professional version of that band. So the kids had somewhere to go when they were
Yeah.
done with school.
Yeah.
So they could play with the Midnights before
Yeah.
they went on to university
Yeah.
or
Right.
a
Yeah.
career. Or
Yeah. Now the Midnights, I know they used to go overseas and do some shows too, didn't they?
we this was through the school system when Eric was when he had the music program at Vic High.
Right.
They had some exchange situations with Denmark.
Oh, okay.
So we went over and we did, the last year I did it, we did some shows in Iceland, and then
Wow.
we flew to Denmark and did these were outdoor festivals, and
Fantastic. Yeah.
the Danes were lovely people.
Yeah.
Yeah, crowds were great.
That must have been something to put together with 13 musicians traveling around. And did you have a crew for carrying some of the equipment and stuff?
No,
or-
we traveled with very little. Like the boys took their bass and their guitar and some
Right.
pedals and stuff. I didn't take any keyboards.
Oh, okay.
In fact,
That's the way to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
the last year, because the show was very well equipped, I got there and they had a nice Nord keyboard for me, so a Nord stage.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a story when we played second last night we played at Balleroop Music Festival. A group of, I will say, people from another country
Oh, okay.
staged a fight
Oh, no.
on the far reaches of the fairgrounds. So all the security rushed over to break up the fight.
Yeah.
This is at the end of our show. And while they were preoccupied, a van with some guys in it pulled up to the stage and in less than 2 minutes threw all the stage gear into the van and drove away.
You're kidding.
So the next day we came to do our show and the lovely Nord keyboard was gone and there was a little
Casio.
61 note Casio sitting there, and that's what I had to do the show with.
No.
Because all the gear had been stolen. It was a terrible amplifier and a terrible keyboard.
Oh, no.
The show must
Show
go
must
on,
go
right?
on, yeah. But what a scam for those people that, in a way, it's kind of, I don't want to say smart, but clever, starting a fight way over there. Security goes there and they're taking the amps from over on the stage.
Yeah, clever lads. I mean,
Yeah, sad though. Yeah, sad. Yeah, the show must go on though. You got to bring out
did,
whatever equipment they could get.
oh, I had, well, I mean, you're musician enough, you know, that it had one patch that said Oregon. And it was like, it was terrible.
Yeah, right.
But it was still fun. It was
Yeah,
still
right,
fun.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure the audience.
We made
loved it.
lemonade with the lemons. we
Yeah,
got.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thanks very much, Duncan, for coming in and having a chat. It's been really interesting talking to you.
It's been fun. You know, you've made me dig up some memories that I hadn't thought about for
Yeah,
a while.
right.
So thank you for having me.
You bet. Let's hear that one more time. The ad that you think.
United Buy and Sell Furniture Warehouse.
I love it. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone who tuned in. And there's more episodes on its way, so stay tuned.